Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Once again, I'm joined by the exiled dub, Tommy Lyons, to discuss all matters BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby related. And we've drafted in the super sub, as he called himself a couple of weeks back. Once again, Damien Lonergan of BoyleSports, the main trader, the man that I took great pleasure in slagging off last week, only to be proven wrong on a couple of occasions. Damien, you're very welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. You're a Talking Dogs on a Monday virgin, I believe.
Yeah, it's my first time, but look, come here. Kevin is getting his teeth done this morning. Sarah's off, and Leon's on holidays, so I had to be me.
Leon's on holidays. I think Leon's on a permanent holiday, to be honest.
Jesus.
How are you, Tommy? Did you enjoy the weekend's action?
Fantastic, Ian. Yeah. I was afraid where that was going when he started with Kevin getting his teeth done. I didn't know where it was going after that. We a long hour. This
someone reined him in. I think there's someone at the end behind him, sort of pushing his buttons. Damien, obviously a very busy time of the year for you, but I suppose it's the best time of the year also.
Well, there's a thing goes on in February as well, in that Coffee gets to get a bit excited about too. Do you know what I mean?
In greyhound racing terms, it's the busiest time for you, Damien Lonergan.
I know, yeah, it is. I know it is. It's a great time of the year, and sure, look, it's really starting to tighten up now. Things are starting to get interesting.
Yeah, sure are. Before we go on, just to mention that after her sensational run the other night, there is a slight doubt over Ballymac Ariel. She did come off the track a little bit lame, but as Liam Downing discussed this morning, or said to me this morning, she's only half as bad this morning as she was yesterday. That's a good sign, and they will be getting her looked at today. But hopefully, all fingers crossed, that should be right as rain by the end of the week. He reported that Ballymac Wild and Ballymac Fairburn were both in great nick. We have it out there, just because by the time you've seen this, you probably have read it. So we might as well address the issue straight off. Tommy, rumor has it there's a good crop of bitches around.
I hadn't heard that, Ian, but actually, yeah, they don't look too bad, do they? I heard you playing them up on commentary, all right.
Yeah, we've been talking about them for quite some time at this stage. We knew there was a very special bunch, and there's been one or two substitutes into the pack, but the likes of Susie Sapphire, when we first started discussing it, wasn't even on our radar, and here we are, an Oaks winner, a Puppy Oaks winner, unbeaten in the Derby, 29-31, and yet she's still not the standout bitch in the competition. It just goes to show what they're doing.
Yeah, but she is phenomenal to even earn your place among the current crop of bitches, like at pretty much very close to the top, if not the top. She's obviously been absolutely an amazing bitch. She really has. She came out of left field because I don't think she raced at the start of the year. We were talking about this late last year, how good they were and how much we were looking forward to seeing the bitches develop into this season. And then to get a bitch fresh in the season and be as good as she is has been fairly. And I love the performance the other night. It didn't matter that the two boxes vacant. I think she was just seriously good. I think what Owen said about her as well, that he wasn't sure before the race whether she'd go across or not, if there was something inside her. I suspect he's probably right too, that she wouldn't have. She's just a clever tracker. It was a brilliant performance, and as you said, not the best performance in the night, which is kind of remarkable.
Yeah, kind of remarkable. No, that said, it was to the eye. It was one of the most pleasing displays. It was absolutely sensational. Damien, you have an eye for the ladies. That's well known. What about this current crop? They're pretty special.
No, I as I said to Shane Downing, I said, like, if Ariel was a woman, she'd probably be Nicole Scherzinger. Like, she's unbelievable, like, isn't she? Like, she's different class. She's different class. Look, and like Scooby Princess, like you spoke about Susie Sapphire, Ballymac Ariel. I thought Scooby Princess ran an absolute blinder Saturday night from a terrible draw.
Yeah, she sure did. There were, like, we'll go through the heats in a moment or two, but it just seems that the ongoing thing is that the bitches are just absolutely flying at present. Damien, before we go on, you might as well get it out of the way. Skywork is still a tremendous winner the other evening. She's been one that you've been keeping sort of just in the right place for your firm, and she proved you right the other night.
Yeah, proved me wrong the first two nights, and look. If you throw enough at the wall, some of it's going to stick in, isn't it? And that's the way we put it. I know she thought she was incredible. She got trouble. She can actually go quicker. Like, she did. I don't know. She was starting moving out too. Maybe just wasn't given enough room, and like she held herself perfect at the bend as well. And turning off the second bend, I thought maybe Ballymac Fairburn going to. I didn't think I thought he'd hold her, like, but once it turned up for home, she kicked on again. I thought it was it was a brilliant performance.
Yeah, it's a brilliant performance. But bitch just obviously was left a bit of short of work prior to the Derby, and she's proved each and every night. I think that could be said for a few of the runners in the Derby. Tommy, we'll talk about them now in a moment. But the likes of All About Ted, he's improved every single night through the Derby. We've spoken of Skywalker Scylla. There are others that just keep steadily improving. I suppose you could suggest that Droopy's Good is in that similar vein, although the other night, while only third, beaten 10 lengths in 29.47, arguably the best run of his career, a sensational effort to even qualify.
Yeah, Carrigaline North is another one you could add into that.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
If you're on Jack's little thing, or if you're connected with the Greyhound, he's after getting some amazing draws, and it continues into next week. So it's brewing up nicely at this stage. I'm still not sure what's going to win it, and I think the Ballymac area news is huge. You know what I mean? It is a concern. You just hope that she'll qualify through next week, or at least get to take her chance. I still don't even know how to be the top bitch in the competition. Never mind how to win it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's look at the heats. We'll race through them quickly, and then we'll start on the other topics and take a look at next week's draw. The opening heat, Ballymac Wild. Shane Dowling suggested in an interview prior to his outing on Saturday night in an interview that they'd had one or two issues with him in the previous week. They were a little bit worried, but that he had sort of come right in himself. And by all accounts, that was a fine display by Ballymac Wild. Damien, he's not always the most fluent at boxes. Droopy's Good certainly made him look like he flashed from traps and won, because Droopy's Good completely walked out of boxes. But Ballymac Wild, he was challenged into the bend, headed by Deadly Samurai, but just forced him out of the way off the second bend. He's like a halfback. He just sort of throws his shoulder about, kicks on again, and meanders up the field. And he stormed home a very easy winner by 9 lengths. Ballymac Wild, there's not an awful lot we can say about him. He's just one of those very special greyhounds.
No, he's danced every dance. Like, he's been every competition. I remember after the English Derby, I said, you could put this fella at a national sprint and he'd get to the final. I've no doubt. There's no doubt about it, like, because he's a warrior, like, that's what you'd call him, like. And the bigger the task, he stands up to it. The way he uses himself at the corner, he doesn't care what's inside him, outside him. He doesn't care. He'll just drop the shoulder and go, like. I know, as you were saying there, that's couple missing the break probably made him look a bit better to the corner, but look, I'd say once he retires, I'd say every Ballymac pitch that can go to him will go to him. I'd say, like, he's just that sort of a dog, isn't he?
Yeah, he just he's a special greyhound, Tommy. And I think you can't really put your finger on what it is. It's just a combination of everything. He's just so strong, so powerful, unbelievable track craft. As Damien said, not afraid to use his own frame. Just knows how to win and knows how to make the frame, more importantly. And, we're looking to the quarterfinals of the Derby. It's going to take an awful lot to keep him out of the final.
Yeah, like he doesn't appeal as a dog that's going to win the Derby, but he appeals as a dog that's going to be in the final, because he can effectively run from any box, because he's not dependent on one thing. With him, if he misses a kick, he'll find a way. If he breaks like he did the other day, he doesn't quite have the early pace. He nearly got caught out by that. But again, he was strong on the bend where he needed to be. He's just a terrific dog. I don't fancy it, like 12-1 to win the Derby. I wouldn't be in a rush to back him, but I could see him in the final, all right. Although this is hot now. This is red hot. It's yeah. I mean, I say to you, he's a smashing dog, and he's the type of dog that turns up in every final. But
it's very hot the next night now. Yeah.
Yeah. But even if you get beyond that, this is deep. The Derby is deep now at this stage. Very, very deep.
We haven't lost all that many big names, and I suppose when you actually look through the 4 heats, you're out doing them a disservice. There is one heat that seems considerably weaker than the other 3, but at the same time, there's certainly 15 or 16 names there. You could say, oh yeah, I could see that getting to a Derby final. Damon, just in behind Ballymac Wild, Galvarino running on great for our pal Johnny Linehan. Johnny's getting a great twist out of this fellow, a dog that'll certainly stay further in time. And Droopy's Good, ran a remarkable race. You'd be more than familiar with him, given your connections with Owen. This dog he's impressed me, but also surprised me during this Derby. I didn't think 550 yards. I didn't think he'd get it in a black taxi. But not only is he getting it well enough, but the other night he just produced the most remarkable run down the back straight to get into a qualifying position.
Come here, if he offered me 100 off the second corner to qualify, I wouldn't have took it. Like, he said, no, I get no value there. Like, he as I said, he ran an amazing race to qualify. He hugs the rail as well. Like, he's well capable of doing a 338, 339. Do you know what I mean? So when he broke, thought, he's gone out of Derby.
There's a touch of the Ballyann Sims about him.
Yeah, he's definitely that sort of a dog. You would have thought that, he's more maybe of a. I know he went in the dock for the sprint, and he thought he was maybe a Laurel's dog, but fired him into Derby. Here he is now in the quarter final. Like, the owners, Paul Carpenter and Beverly Lockett, are getting some serious enjoyment out of him. Like, I know that they have in their head to buy him to be a Romford 400 dog. Do you know what I mean? But I said, here he's now in a 550, and he run the first round. He got up to the line hard, like, didn't he? Doing 29.60.
Yeah, he did. Tommy Galvarino, Drubby's good. Anything you want to add?
No, Galvarino's not going to be seen to his best until he's over a bit further. He lacks that little bit of pace there. He has a slight inclination to move inwards. Not that that's a big deal. Again, he's probably just tracking because dogs are in front of him. But it's a stretch to think that either of them will go win a Derby now. But they've been performing very well, both of them, in fairness.
We'll move on to the second heat the other evening, and this was the aforementioned Skywalker Casilla. Ballymac Fair one, he's still not getting his trapping right. He did a 352 the other night, showed good early speed to get to the front. I was disappointed that he couldn't hold Skywalker Casilla. I know she's very, very strong, but Ballymac Fair one, just probably still a length or two to come from him. He's going to need to find it though, Tommy.
That'd be my hope. I said here last week, I thought he was a certainty to win that heat because I thought he would lead. And like you, I was disappointed. I know Skywalker Casilla is improving and she's very strong and all that. And I still thought that he would build a better lead when he got to the front. And I was disappointed that he lost it quite softly. Now, the only thing is, right, it's still a step forward on his previous run to the Derby on the clock. And I think there's more to come from him. There is more to come from him. He's definitely capable of more. The beauty of it, perhaps, is that maybe Liam Dowdy is taking the view that, you know what, we'll just keep him ticking along and hope that he can keep qualifying. And maybe there's one really good performance in him.
He's probably of a view that he's plenty fit enough. He's had lots of racing over the last few months. And it's a case of, if we go to the well, we'll leave it as late as we can.
Exactly. That's the way I'd be looking at him with him. Like, I was disappointed, but at the same time, you saw him in the English Derby. He could lead some decent early pacers as well at times. In terms of he has a bit of dash. There's a lot to like about the dog. I was a little bit disappointed, although I was also impressed with Skywalker Casilla. So maybe I'm contradicting myself a little bit. But I think if 29.55 wasn't the other night in defeat, if he improves 20 spots, he can potentially win a Derby. I wouldn't rule him out entirely. That's all I would say, because I think he's a dangerous dog, because I think he's that good. He has that raw ability. Whether we'll see it in the next couple of weeks or not, I don't know. But he definitely has the raw ability to win a Derby.
Damien, I'd say he's the type of dog that's probably still attracting a few nibbles here and there in the anti-post market.
Yeah, he's a dog as you can't put a big price in it, because like his dog is always going to be backed. I'll be honest, I think that's his best run ever in Shelbourne Park now last week. Like, that was a very, very good run. And look, if he shows the trap, if he trapped once or twice over in Toaster, if he traps the same over here, as I said, Tommy says all he has to do is find 2 lengths and he's up there. You know, he's up there. As we've seen, like, Explosive Boy flew out the other night, and this fella, if this fella turned maybe a length behind Explosive Boy, I think he could give him a fair sort of a run, because I think he's improving, and he's a dog that I will be keeping on side if anything. If news does break about, or if the bad news that we're not hoping for breaks about Ballymac area, he's one that will definitely be getting slashed.
Yeah, no problem. No question about that. Skywalker Casilla, we have mentioned her. She is very strong. She continues to improve. What's her ceiling, Damien? Is the run to the corner going to be her problem when things really heat up, or do you think that'll come?
Oh no, I think she has more area than she's shown. Like, she got no run for the first 10 yards of the night. She had to kind of hold herself, and she still was able to make ground into the corner. I think now, I had her down as a rail. I'd probably like to see her off the rail, a small, maybe drawn 2 or 3 is probably what she wants. But for me, a Razzle Dazzle Peaky
is definitely a railer, and he was edging in there the whole time.
And he's like Ballymac Oil. He's a warrior too. Like, you know what I mean? He's not going to. He doesn't give up easy. You know, he takes a lot of battering now before he to get the end of Razzle Dazzle Peaky. So I thought she done well to hold herself against him.
Yeah, Jazz Toes is back in third. He's just a greyhound that just knows what the game is about. He's not a superstar, but a very honest greyhound, Tommy. He's the type of dog that you could have a real lot of fun with. As it happens, he's got the very, very tough task of taking on the likes of Explosive Boy, Deirdre Sydney, Ballymacarial, and All About Ted the next night. Peter Cronin and the gang. I think All About Ted is a more likely Derby winner for them.
Yeah, thanks for playing, but we're getting serious now. Is what the message is to Jazz Toes.
That's not to say you can't qualify up the inside.
No,
You have a little bit of early set. Right, we'll move on. Heat 3, Dearjet Sydney. You spoke, Damien, about Ballymac Wild dancing every dance. Well, this fella's been to a few himself. The 2020 English Derby winner faced a very tricky draw in Trap 3 on Heat 3 the other evening. He was led early by Broadstrand Ryan, but the way in which he closed off the second bend, just moved up on the outside, and then we all knew what was going to come at the third bend with Broadstrand Ryan. He stood up on that third bend, especially when challenged, and Dearjet Sydney just powered on to land the spoils in good fashion, and much more encouraging from Rural Star in second spot. That was more like the Rural Star we saw at Clonmel at the start of the year. And Scooby Princess, while only third, ran an unbelievable race. 29.75 the winning time, but this was a race where you can ignore the time and focus on performance. Dearjet Sydney, Tommy, he's certainly a greyhound that could play a part in this year's Derby, although facing a very tough test next night.
He is, yeah, but he showed that determination to get across. He is a bit draw dependent, which is a funny thing to say about a Derby winner, because you don't get away with much if you want to win any Derby. He's exceptionally good. He's exceptionally tough, in fairness to him, and they've done well with him to produce him like this, to look like he's probably improving again towards the latter stages of the competition. But to me, the story of this heat was poor Broadstrand Ryan. If that isn't the dog who has the ability to win a Derby, there's no dog in the competition that has the ability if he doesn't. He absolutely, what pace he has, the raw ability is ridiculous.
In the straight lines, he's just unbelievable. Like he's comfortably leading into the corner. He's massive down the back end. We know he stays further. He'd stay 600 yards. It's just, even the other night, he probably didn't run the first and second bends as well as he has done.
No,
but
didn't.
The third bend was just so noted.
He lost 2 lengths into the first bend, just by his own kind of just the way he runs it. But like you called it in commentary down to the third bend, we knew what was going to happen, unfortunately. But by God, it must be frustrating for Connections to have a dog that fast and he can't get those bends right. If he could get them right, he'd win a Derby. That's how good he is. But Scooby Princess, I'm a big fan of her. I think she ran a superb race. I mean, she only 5th down the back, I think, and ran on strongly. I thought she might break a little bit better than she did and maybe help get herself out of trouble. It didn't happen. So, I mean, the time of the race is irrelevant. I think that the 29.75, she ran a superb race to qualify. And I think hopefully there'll be a bit more to come from her in the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, Damien, Dearjet Sydney, there's not an awful lot more you can say about him. We know exactly what he's about, but from a trading point of view, Rural Star is just a sneaky one that keeps qualifying for yourselves. I dare say he's not a good result for you.
No, he's not. He's not a good result, But look, I totally discounted him. I swear, I just thought the way he ran 1 or 2 races there in Shelburne in the last 2 months, and you're saying, right, if he doesn't win this race, he's not going to Derby. And here he is, he just can't, like a bad smell. We can't get rid of him. We just cannot get rid of him. Look, as I said, in fairness to Johnny, he done the hard thing, was getting Broadstrand out in front. He thought that he's 3/4 way there now. You thought, and next thing, not to qualify must have been hard take. You have to feel too for Epic Hero. He was really only getting
he was flying in that third bend, and when Broadstrand Ryan stood up, he just ran up the backside of him. That was the end of his chances. Tommy will be sort of happy enough that the dog is starting to show his form again, and I'm sure the Ledger will be his target once again.
Yeah, but as you said last week, you probably had struggled to find a worse drawn dog in the history of greyhound wrestling. We all know it was going to happen straight out of the boxes. It did happen, but I went into her bend and said he's going to qualify here next thing back up, just right up the backside of Broadstrand Ryan, and that put into his Derby chances. But look at Dearjet Sydney, professional enough the way he was able to just step out and avoid Broadstrand Ryan up the home straight, then hugs the rail and stays on. His dog, I know he's an English Derby winner, and we'd all love to own him, but he's so professional, and he's able to cheat these draws as well. You think that he's a bad draw here now, next thing all of a sudden bang, you qualify or win. So he can never discount him.
34 races, 16 wins, and 13 times second or third. Like, he's only been out of the frame 5 times in his career, Tommy. I think it's testament to the greyhound. You said about draw dependency. I think he's a greyhound that will find a way from any draw. He will edge inwards every time he gets a chance. But if there's a dog at his inside, he won't do something to harm himself. The only time he'll dive in and harm other dogs is when he has that little bit of room. And that's exactly what he does. He seems to ride bumps very, very well also. Yeah, cracking display by Dear Jet Sydney. It's great to see him still there. A Rural Star in second spot, much more encouraging. I know Mike O'Dwyer is watching on from Hawaii, having a great twist out of this. And Scooby Princess again, she's just one of those ladies. It's going to be very hard to keep her out of the frame because she's so strong. She can do it either way. Moving on to Heat 4, rumor has it this was a pretty hot affair, but in the end, it turned into the Ballymac Aerial Show. Explosive Boy was absolutely, lethal from boxes here. He flashed out of traps, but Ballymac Aerial just, she took off. She flew around the outside of that Explosive Boy. She cut across him on the bend, forced him to ease slightly. It didn't matter at that point because she was moving with such purpose. She was always going to go into a 3 or 4 length advantage. That's exactly what she did. 16.88 to the third bend, lads. It's scarcely been seen at Shelbourne Park. I think we saw Pastana do a 16.83 last year during the record run, but 16.88, you're rubbing your eyes. She did come back a little bit on the run in, but 29.07, and it just backs up everything we've said about Ballymac Aerial. Like, I can imagine people in the UK listening to me talking about Ballymac Aerial over the years going, I don't see what the fuss is. If you take out Limerick and Toaster, her performances at Shelbourne Park are incredible. Bar 1 or 2 mishaps, she has just been the most incredible performer at Shelbourne Park. I've said it more times in recent weeks. If she was mine, she'd never race outside Shelbourne Park. But Ballymac Aerial, Tommy, is there anything you can add?
No, but only that we said last week that she was doing 29.40 in the previous round well within herself. It's like it's just a stroll to do a time like that, which is almost ridiculous because wouldn't you love to own a dog to do 29.70? Never mind, like do 29.07. Like, but she's just like,
to put it into perspective. I know we said time didn't matter, but the 2020 English Derby winner does 29.75 15 minutes earlier, and she does 9 3/4 lengths faster, 15 minutes later.
The beauty was that Explosive Boy broke and she caught him by the first bend. That's almost, I thought that was impossible, I'll be honest about it. With him breaking the way he did, there should be no dog in the country should be able to pick him up after giving him a little bit at the break. Like, he's a seriously fast dog, but she's just on another level. It's not a surprise. She's done it. She did it before she ever raced, and she did it in her early stages of her racing. You go on about the fact that it's just Shelbourne Park and she wasn't herself outside of it. I'm not sure if there wasn't a little bit more to it than that.
There were 1 or 2 little niggles at the start of the year. Also, no question about that.
I just think Liam Dowling has done a remarkable job with her, because there were times like we raved about her last year, and then towards the end of last year, and then you kind of the doubts creep in, and when you get week after week where she's not exactly showing her best, you're kind of going, you know what, maybe she did it a bit too much too soon, doing sub 28 seconds as a raw pup on it in a trial. You go, God almighty, maybe it's gone out of her a bit. But to get her back to this sort of level is a brilliant job. I'd love to see her continue to produce it. Obviously, there is the question mark now after she's picked up some sort of niggle from the weekend. I don't know. It's frustrating if that's the case, because she is phenomenal, and you'd love to see a bitch like her win the Derby.
You sure would. Damien, she's very much in the right spot. If she's going to be right as rain by the weekend, she's in the right hands.
Oh, sure. Couldn't be in better hands. Like, she annihilated Explosive Boy, really, didn't she? Like, absolutely annihilated. Like, if the clock didn't work, just to the eye, like, just to do that to Explosive Boy, it's frightening.
I must say, during the commentary into that third bend, it sort of did strike me. I think she's doing the record here. Like, it would have no surprise to me if it had come up at 28.95.
You could see the commentary, Explosive Boy in front, and next thing, when Ballymac Aerial went, eyeballed him. You went from 0 to 100 straight away. Like, you knew straight, like, your voice just went 0 from 100 straight away.
Well, we're watching something you shouldn't be watching. Do you know that sort of way? Like, you shouldn't see what you're seeing, is what we're saying.
No, like if she done that to a Jazz Toes, you'd say. No,
don't be belittling Jazz Toes.
I'm not belittling Jazz Toes. You know what I mean? Like, this dog is the track record holder in Tralee, winner of the Project Fix. like could have won the Concorby if the draw worked out a bit better for him. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the dog of the year so far. Do you know? And she absolutely annihilates them. Do you know? You see that? You see it in graded. You know, if you see graded races there every day, dogs just taking off. She done this to Explosive Boy. Like it was an unbelievable run.
It was pretty emphatic, all right. Explosive Boy, we do have to mention, Tommy. We suggested last week that Pat Guilfoyle had him right where he wanted. If you look at his times through this Derby, 29.47, 29.40, and the other night he does 29.35. So it's the third fastest time of the third round, having been forced to check on the bend. He would have done a 29.28 run, let's say. If Ballymacariel hadn't been in it, we'd be going, well, this is the dog to beat in the Derby. You know, he's absolutely there. He's going to take some stopping. As it is, he did run into Ballymacariel. He's beaten 4 lengths, but I would say there's still a little bit of room there. I'd still be no surprise to me if he does 29.10 in this Derby, and I won't be discounting him. I know he's still very much the clear second favourite in the betting. I wasn't too worried about the run because I know exactly where Pat Guilfoyle wants him to produce his best, and that's in September 28th or September 18th, should I say.
He'd probably be 6-4, 7-4 for the Derby if she wasn't in the race the other day, because he pops out and probably, as you say, maybe take a length off his 29.35, and I think that's perfect. He's just teeing himself up nicely. He's just, you know, ticking along nicely, just ready to go. And in fairness, they gave it 3.38 the other night. Is that right? It probably is. Like Explosive Boy, you think there's probably 4 or 5 spots more in that. He's capable of going below that, so you'd be thinking that that'll happen in the next 3 rounds. He's got a beautiful draw next week, so you know it's definitely not lost for Pat Guilfoyle and connections. Priceless Jet ran a superb race.
Yeah, an unbelievable race.
He's a mercurial character, but I tend to like these type of dogs. They frustrate the life out of you at times, and they break your heart. But when they have that ability, you know, some night you're going to find the right race where you're going to say, do you know what, you're going to pop up with a price tonight. And
you know what, Paul Hennessy's a master with that type of greyhound.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm thinking that he's going to find a way into Derby. In fact, I think he's a penalty kick that he qualifies next week. I'm sure Paul won't. He's quite superstitious. Won't like me saying that, but I mean, I think Priceless Jet is a dog that could well pitch up in a Derby final. And even if he's not favoured, you'll be afraid of him. If you're on anything else, you'll be afraid of Priceless Jet, because he's got great ability. He really, really has. I thought he ran his best race over the trip for a very long time the other night. I thought it was a superb effort. He ran into a little bit of trouble. He's only beaten 6 lengths. Now, I know when a fast clock is done, you can be drawn in behind us and whatever else, but he's still doing 29.49 without getting a fully clear run, man.
Yeah, as you say yourself, without a fully clear run, you know, it was far from that. It showed loads of pace, forced to check up that third bend. And Damien, the child revealed to us the other evening that there had been issues with him following the previous week. And that he had a very easy week, Priceless Jet. Certainly didn't show any signs of it.
No, look, I honestly think Priceless Jet was a certainty beat in the Champion Stakes final. But where he was at the corner, I thought it was all over, and then we had a bit of a melee. But actually, he's a dog. I'd love to know the clocks he was doing, say for 550 yards running over 750. Do you know what I mean? Because he was absolutely tearing them. One day he was absolutely flying and just sailing home then the last 50 yards. I know he won the final by a long way, and it's hard to, but you know, I'd love to see.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that would say he stays 750 yards strong. Like, as you say yourself, the clocks he's doing, and he's like effectively coasting for the last 60 or 70 yards are phenomenal.
Yeah, I'd say, look, I'd say give him a sprint trial. He do 1860 for you, like, you know, that's sort of way he's a dog that, and he's a wide seed. He'll get his draw. You're going to think every night, you could say. But look, when there were Saturday night that Guilfoyle's dogs were Guilfoyle's dog maybe under the weather a small bit.
Well, Grangew Mac was withdrawn sick, so there is you have to mention.
Had he non-runners in Limerick as well? Had he? Or
I'm not sure.
He might have had a few non-runners in Limerick. So like, if you know, like, from working at Kennedy, you know, it's hard. If one dog gets sick, it goes through them all, like, you know. So you just be wondering, like,
Tommy has 4 kids. He's well aware of that. if one gets sick, for the love of God, you're in for a week of it, 2 weeks of it.
No, so like we could be, you know, we definitely wouldn't be discounting Explosive Boy at all. No,
he's wearing the trader hat, Tommy. He's wearing the trader hat. Explosive Boy could be 64 by the end of the week, no matter what the result the other night. Just have to mention the 3 dogs that went out there. Jacob Tashadlek spoke to Con Guiney prior to racing. Again, there had been a little bit of sickness in his dogs earlier in the week. He thought Jacob was finding himself. He just missed the kick, never got involved. But it's worth pointing out what a star he was in the opening 2 rounds. Wherever he rocks up, he's a greyhound to take note of. I think I'd definitely be targeting both the classics, both the Laurels and the Ledger. I think he could run well at both of them. Spinosaurus and Trap Joey didn't happen for them on the evening. Spinosaurus is still very young and remains a maiden. He's going to rock up in some race now in a week or two and be 4 on. And Trap Joey ran so well for Karen Murphy. The Kilkenny qualifier had run on very strongly in his previous outing. Just wasn't meant to be the other evening. Moving on to Heat 5, gentlemen, we better start racing up a bit. All About Ted, brilliant performance from him, Tommy. This is a greyhound that just keeps coming forward and forward. This was the dog we thought he'd be when he produced that massive run in defeat in the Winter Racing Festival last year. It was pretty stunning to the eye. I know it was made look a bit easier than it was because Deadly Destroyer did take that step right. I thought he was getting away with it, but then Sing Along Sally just seemed to emerge on his shoulder. They clashed. I don't know how she qualified. We'll get that in a moment or two, but All About Ted was stunning out front.
I actually thought I was surprised. I was looking at the draw and I was going, Sing Along Sally. I must have missed the rest of that race when All About Ted went clear and she was behind, and I thought she can't qualify now. All About Ted was very good. He's just improving. He's a strong dog. He's improving a little bit. That was 29.35. That's a fair run. There's probably a little bit more in him. It'll get tighter for him when it comes to early pace and kind of leading into the first bend. It's going to get more difficult, but there's a lot to like about him. It's lovely when you see a dog show something like he did in the Winter Festival last year, and you see it now come to fruition, or maybe at the right time. So this is
very much at the right time. Yeah,
exactly. This is another very good performance. There's always a temptation to do too much with these dogs. If you think just showing something, let's keep them going. No, take your time with them. And Peter Coleman's done a great job with them. Of course, he was in England, and which of course he's entitled to be doing. And to come here, this is probably his race, and this is his trip. Whether he'll win a derby, I don't know. It's going to get a little bit more difficult for him, but he's a dog that you have to really, really like. You'd respect him in any race. You really would. Like, there's no race you say he can't win, because he is strong. He's also capable of going up well. He has it all. Maybe needs to find that tiny bit more to go and win a derby, but he's improving, so I wouldn't rule it out entirely.
Damien, 3:38, 17:08. It looks very impressive on paper.
I look very, very impressive, but like as a trap rise, the inside two, the 2 early pacers, you think just they wrote each other off straight away, so that meant they all about take on an extra length or two to the corner. But geez, he really put himself into the picture, didn't he, with that 29-35 run.
He's only had the 15 starts. He's had an interrupted career. He's like, I know he ran in Toaster this year, but didn't have all that many races either in Toaster. He really is still a puppy at heart. And the progression he's shown in recent weeks is what you expected from him earlier this year, shall we say. I certainly wouldn't rule him out doing a couple of lengths faster. 29.20 could win a derby, and I could see this fellow doing it.
29.35, and like we just have we've exceptional dogs in it this year.
Yeah.
Normally 29.35, you'd be favoured for the derby, wouldn't you? Like you'd be, I know you have Explosive Boy and Benny McAir, but they're just two unbelievable greyhounds. But like 29.35, we should be on this podcast tomorrow and going fast series, fastest run in the derby. That's just it. Look, before Saturday night, I wouldn't have had him in my top 5 or 6 for the derby, but he's really after coming to the fore.
Yeah. Sing Along Sally did qualify in second spot. She was absolutely written off after the first 10 strides. She found herself off the pace down the back straight, but things started to gather up at the third bend in behind. Amethyst Luke got up the inside of Deadly Destroyer. Deadly Destroyer a bit disappointing down the back straight. Amethyst Luke got up his inside, and then there was a bit of a pile up. They all seemed to get, just tight and congested, and all of a sudden Sing Along Sally, who we know is the tightest railer in the land, shot up through the inside, goes on to qualify in style. She keeps on progressing. She's another one of those that's getting better and better and better. She's only about 16 weeks out of season, Dame. You know more than most. She really should be starting to fly now at this point. You could see lengths coming out of her still.
Oh yeah, she just won. she's one that when you're pricing up a race, it's hard to do it because like if she popped out and done a 29.50 run, you're not going to be surprised. Like, it's not going to go whoa. You're waiting for this to happen. It hasn't happened yet, but she hasn't really trapped yet either. Like, she drawn a trap one in the second round. I thought this is going to be it, but she just totally missed time to break. So, and she done the same Saturday night. So, can she keep affording to do that though? Is just the question. She trapping. She needs to start trapping.
Well, I'd say her trapping the other night was considerably faster than 351, 359. Only Deadly Destroyer, who was probably going to do a 335 off the start that he made, came straight right and banged her. I'd say she would have been doing a 340 or better, Tommy.
I'd say kind of a low 340 is what she was probably going to do. She was very unlucky on a couple of occasions in the race, and then got the look when she needed it. She got the first bump, and then she got done a second time and lost her behind legs. She did well to recover. She went up to the first bend. She kind of had to check up again, but she got a little bit of luck late on. You'd have forgiven her if she had finished last. You really would. You would have said, okay, look, things just weren't for her. But actually, she ran a phenomenal race. I know she beat 10 lengths or something. Like she actually ran a seriously good race, way ahead of what she'd done in the two previous rounds. Way ahead of it. And the beauty is, right, if she's going to be, I don't think she's a Derby contender, but if she's going to progress again, she's got a perfect opportunity to show that she can trap and she can show that early pace of lead. She got Monroe Thunder inside her next week and No Green Dye on her outer. It's not bad. Bad.
If she makes her best start, she's in the Derby semi-finals, and then all of a sudden,
I think depending
on draw, she could easily be in the final.
I think it's going to take a lot for her not to qualify. She's going to have to miss it quite badly, I think, because I mean, I know when you're beating a long way, it's kind of hard enough to assess the race, but I really like what I saw in it, and I hadn't seen it in the previous rounds, and I never thought she was the quality to be a Derby contender, but I definitely think she can win that heat next week.
You certainly can. Damien, sing along Sally. We've mentioned Gunboat Showman flew home for Sean Kenny, really getting a good twist out of this dog. He has a bit of age in his side. He's a June 18, but absolutely motored up the home straight the other night. I'd like to see him over a bit further in the future.
Yeah, he's definitely one that you would like to see when he goes over 575, 600. He's still one of the rank outsiders for the Derby, but he's given Kenny some run for their interview, and like he's a grand in the bank already now for getting to quarterfinals.
He's won an A1, A2. That's his best victory.
Yeah, and in the last of the four quarterfinals in the Irish Derby, he'll be a big price, but things can happen. You wouldn't completely dismiss him from qualifying. Moving on to Heat 6. And here, Carrageen North, one of the really progressive young dogs in the competition. Tommy, you mentioned him earlier on. Damien, 29.63. Every year, Thomas Buggy seems to pop up with one. I was just saying to Kevin on Saturday night that if you look through the last 8 or 10 years, the Buggies always seem to have one in their kennel that's capable of running against the very best. And this year, it's Carrageen North.
Yeah, the Kilgraney Thomas Sunday and Kilgraney something, another Kilgraney. Then last year, Catch Me Flying was doing sub 29.40 or 29.50 runs. So, this fella, Saturday night rocking to work yesterday at 2:00, happy to live myself, win a few money. The first thing I was reading with, how did you get Carrageen North so wrong? Like, we're 5s into 5-2 and just had to kind of take it on the chin. You know what I mean? But look, definitely Ballymac Art not flashing out was a massive boost to him. He was a dog that they were backing, say, as savers. He was the one that you if you had a bet in the race, you were backing him just to be on the safe side. And he ran a fantastic race. 4 wins now from 12 starts. He's only October 19. That's puppy Derby age, isn't it? So
yep.
It's unreal. Like, there's so many young dogs in this Derby. It's unbelievable. Like, you look at the youngsters, even though some that got knocked out. You like to call me Steve, and we've something to look. We've a fabulous bunch of youngsters to look forward for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Tommy Carrageen North, hard not to be impressed with him the other night. I think this was easily his best run. I know Ballymacart not hitting the lids helped him, but he got to the front on merit. He showed real early speed, probably improved early speed, and once getting to the front, we know he's strong, and ran right to the line, 17.33, 29.63. It's not Derby winning form, but he's going the right way.
I suppose the money was down because he was drawn on the inside, and he'd only half length to find with Ballymac Art, and he's entitled to improvements on his 11th run last week. You can see why he was backed. I thought he ran very well. The misfortune was for Pierno in that race. His first 10 yards are just.
Trust me, from a backer of Pierno the other evening, I know exactly how frustrating he is, and I've been waiting for him to take off, and it just hasn't happened in this derby.
But the first 10 yards every single night are going to kill him, because he has the pace to qualify to probably be a derby semi-finalist, maybe that sort of level of a greyhound. He's a dog that probably could go all the way to the final in the Ledger. But the first 5 or 10 yards are heartbreaking if you're punting him, because he just seems to miss it, not know what he's doing. The next thing, he takes off. And he was very lucky because he was moving across at the first bend, got clipped from behind, and that was the end of his race. Gert Kelly Nestor ran the cracking race again. Yet again, stays on nicely, stays wide, likes his, will always have his kind of bit of room. He's a good tracking dog. He's improved nicely as the over the course of the year. And Bright Caroker, another cracking race, was only touched off for second place. So, but Carrigan North, I'm not surprised at the gamble in one sense, that it had trap one. Maybe people thought that it might show a little bit extra early pace. Its sectional wasn't as quick as it had been in the previous weeks, but I think it went back to 3:51. But still, as you say, it showed a nice little acceleration to take control of the race, and it stays pretty well. I mean, it sees out to 550 well. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that it was backed. I didn't back it, unfortunately, but I took a chance on Pierno, as you'll know, from my frustration of watching the dog again. I thought the 3-1 was a bit big, that's all.
Yeah, so did I.
I lost.
Come here, lads.
I'm just glad to hear that Damien got it wrong as regards the winner, because he'd been picking us up on Pierno. Go ahead, Damien.
Lads, the money that we're getting for doing this today, right? Keep it, right? And when a Pierno appears out in a 575 600 in Shelburne, he'll repay us all, right? Yeah. So I don't want to be paid. I don't want to be paid until he's on the card. Is that
now
right?
that Damien's told the world is going to be about 4 to 7. Bright Car Oak, I just want to give Bright Car Oak a mention. Listen, when you're doing the commentary on the night, you don't really get a chance to review it as well as you will like. I looked at it again, thinking I'd say this dog probably found himself in third spot and got through. This dog showed real pace and determination to get through himself. He forced his way into that third spot. It was just a really, really nice display by a greyhound who will be a big price again the next night, but he's absolutely singing a very sweet tune for Michael Carey, and certainly deserved his place in the next round, judging by that display the other night, Tommy.
Oh, he definitely did. I like you. I was impressed because it wasn't a red hot heat, but at the same time there was plenty of good dogs in it. I was probably maybe slightly disappointed Pierno didn't qualify, even after getting a little bit of trouble. But I tell you what, when you look at it and you're trying to hold off a greyhound like Bright Car Oak, you can't get too much wrong. Let's be honest about it. You can't get too much wrong. Bright Car Oak is determined, as you said, is strong, stays very, very well, can break an awful lot better. Probably needs to maybe next week would be interesting, because the Skywalker still on the inside, but not exactly too early pacer. So it'll be interesting to see who wins that battle. There's probably maybe one place up for grabs in the qualification, possibly one place up for grabs. If not, if the 3 of them aren't taken in that fourth quarter final. So yeah, possibly through to semi-final, possibly
is right. He's still a big price, Damien, I imagine.
Yeah, he's still 150 to 1 chance. I just have to say something about that God Kerry Nestor. I've totally underrated this dog. I just thought, that he was a nice dog for Shelburne Park of a Saturday night. Like, I got him totally wrong. I think he's lengths better than I thought he was. And like, in fairness, Andrew Murray's done a fantastic job. Like, he's come up against some good dogs and held his own, and even he's beat him. And was it last week on the Talking Dogs TV, he said that up to Tuesday he was going to be a non-runner. And next the box is open and he wins his second round heat. But I haven't been giving this dog enough respect. I think
he did a 350. He did a 351 the other night, so he's after giving them sort of 7 or 8 spots in his 2 previous runs. I think he's more likely to qualify than not next week if you look at the draw. So who's to say we won't be talking about Gort Kelly Nestor next week as a Derby semi-finalist? I hope we're not putting the mockers on anyone here now. I know people are watching it going, "Oh, don't be saying that," Moving on to Heat 7, Jack's Little Thing. This is the dog that was disputing favoritism with Explosive Boy. He was always second favorite since that opening round effort. He's now third choice in the betting market, but did very little wrong the other night, 29.51. I just get the impression that he's been given a chance just to ease himself a little bit over the last 2 weeks with the draw. I wouldn't say Graham has gone to the well at all with this greyhound. Much more professional the other night, Tommy, 29.51. You wouldn't be too concerned by that. Maybe 17.14, didn't come home as strongly as he can, but I have no doubt that there's better to come from him, and he's still a major player in this year's Derby.
Well, if you looked at his previous draws, you'd be saying, yeah, we don't need to push the dog too hard. And then you get to the quarter final, you look at it again, you go, maybe we don't have to push too hard either. I know it gets a little bit. It'd be a shame for a dog like this to go out just for quite in what looks like a soft heat. He's professional. He goes up as straight as a gun barrel until there's nothing inside him. Then he'll edge across, and he just does things right. You could grab it by looking at the clock and saying was it 29.51. And he is capable better. As you said, his closing section wasn't as fast as previous weeks. I'm perfectly fine with it. I think he did everything he needed to do. I thought he was short enough in the betting prior to last week, and he hasn't changed. I think that's fair enough from the part of the bookies now that he hasn't changed. If you
don't give them too much credit now, Tommy. Don't give them too much credit.
Thanks, Tommy. Thanks.
I think he was too short last week, but he has got a great draw again. So if you fancy the dog, you got a free round out of it. You got a free round. You didn't have to take the price. You can take it now if you like. 9-2. 9-2 is okay, but I just think when it comes to a final, obviously we'll learn an awful lot more this weekend. But will you be able to find that little bit of extra early pace? Because nothing's going to be coming back in the Derby final. Nothing's coming back to you. You need to be in front of them. So I just wonder, can he find that little bit of extra? And that's the difference in whether he'll win a Derby or he won't. He's been blessed, absolutely blessed with great draws for 3 weeks in a row. I'm sure that has to stop at some stage.
Yeah, Damien, I'm going to make a point that he's now back out of trap 5 and into trap 4. I've said here in the last 2 weeks that I think he'd win from any box, and I stand by that. But trap 4 seems to be his box. The nights he's been in there, he really has hit the ground running. 3.36 from trap 4 in the opening round when doing that 29.10. And as you say, in a weaker heat, relatively weaker heat, he is going to be favourite. And by all accounts, we're going to be talking about a Derby semi-finalist if everything goes well.
Yeah, can I just go back to what you were saying there about hasn't been pushed him or hasn't been going?
I know they're not on remote control.
No,
we know that.
But like we're in the Derby quarterfinals. Imagine if Owen had a dog for me and he says she's got knocked out last week and said, "Geez, I didn't really, I left him on his bed this week." I'd be going, Jesus Christ, I'd say these dogs are they're.
Yeah, but there are 6 weeks. You need to keep some degree of sharpness too, I'm sure. I mean, you've got to do something to keep them as fresh as possible. They're not machines, as we say. You can't be running you can't be running.
And he's also trained by a man who's won the last 2 derbies.
Yeah,
so
he's
been there, done that.
You don't do 29-10 6 weeks in a row. Like if you do that early, if you do that for the first 3 rounds, I'll have a fair bet you don't win the Derby.
If he had done 29-10 in the first round, second round, the third round, would he still be as big, or would he be? Would you be waiting for the wheels to fall off?
No. Like his run in the first round was incredible, and he was sort of a dog who was fluctuating in price all year. He ran an Allen race stake in Clonmel. He went from Clonmel then to Limerick, and didn't run. He didn't come out of Limerick. You never thought he's going to be a 29-10 dog in Shelburne. So his price was fluctuating all year, but it sort of settled after the Champion 550 competition. Like after that, he was a dog that was on everybody's lips.
Yeah, he's certainly a fast greyhound. There's no question about that. In behind him, No Green Dye, one of the stories of this year's Derby, a dog who ran very well last year in the Derby Plate. Obviously very, very strong runner, but he just seems to have matured in the last year. He's absolutely flying. The pace he's showing down the back straight and home, it rivals any dog in the Derby. He's extremely fast, and Laura Earle and Sean Murphy can pray for a little bit of luck the next night, because if he does get a clear run in behind, he's the one that the likes of the sing-along Sally's, Droopy's, Good Rule, Star, Gort, Kelly, Nestor have to worry about if they don't set the pace and they find themselves in third spot with this fellow either in fourth or a close fifth. They have to worry.
Oh, come here. He flies home, doesn't he? And he's another dog that we have probably maybe only starting to give a bit of respect to in the last month, you could say. As we spoke the other night, he just ran over 1,025 yards. Do you know what I mean? So Connections knew he'd kind of thinking he'd stay. But look, he's going to be running. how are we going to get him knocked out? I don't know. Like, and he's given Laurel and John Murphy an amazing run, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
He's
Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, he everything went wrong from the other night. Came out of traps, had to check inside, outside, inside again. Had to stand up to trouble at the first bend and managed to come through in fourth place. Had to check around the Greyhound again. Got trouble at the last bend. Effectively, to my mind, he's probably really should have been beaten about 3.5 lengths maximum. He's beaten 7. I mean, you can definitely take. I'd say you could definitely take 3.5, 4 lengths off that run. That was a smashing run. As you say,
that stands up because he did 29.64 the previous week.
Yeah. He just everything went wrong in the race, and it's probably always going to, because he doesn't have the early pace, or something is going to go wrong. But the night he gets a clear run, he'll do a serious run.
Monroe Thunder was third. Damien, this is effectively a puppy. I know he's not in terms of age, but it was only his 8th career start the other night. He's pretty sharp. He's right on the heels of Jack's Little Thing into the opening corner. He has a decent enough draw the next night. He'll have to avoid singing along Sally at boxes, but it'd be no surprise to see him in the semi-final of a derby for Larry O'Rourke.
No, like he went up the corner and Jack's Little Thing chopped the nose off and forced him to check out. He went way off the second corner, so he had to regather himself. So from the qualifier, I thought it was a fantastic run. Very, very little racing experience, but look, that when Larry O'Rourke and Graham Holland team up, you always have to give him a lot of respect.
Tommy and Monroe Thunder, one of those dogs you can't see win the derby, but he certainly has the draw to perhaps be in the semi-finals.
He does. He's very little racing done. Like he's doing exceptionally well. He has a nice bit of early pace. It'll just be interesting in the next heat what Sing Along Sally does early, because you could easily see Monroe Thunder slipping up along the inside and using that line well to get around, maybe in front or certainly very close. And after that, you'll see what. But it's actually, for a dog with so little experience, he's running extremely well.
Yes, indeed. We'll move on to the final heat. Susie Sapphire, 17.04 off a 3.38. She was pretty electric. It was made a little bit easier with Grange with Mac absence from trap 2, but I dare say the start she made, it would have made little enough difference. Swords Maestro didn't get the lids again, but came through for second, and Reshore back in third. Call Me Stephen Druppies, yes, just got in each other's way, which often happens in these 5-dog races. I don't know what it is. You often see more traffic in a 5-dog race than a 6-dog race, but Susie Sapphire away and gone. She is doing everything right. She's improved 3 nights, 29.59, 29.50, 29.31. And again, no surprise if this lady did 29.20 in the future, Damien. She's just absolutely singing a very sweet tune.
Like, she's galloping fair hard about the line still. Like, I thought that she was sure once she coasted home for the last 25 years, but she hit that line running the other night, didn't she? And even to the pickup, they weren't really gathering her. Now, if you rang Peter Comerford or Owen McKenna on Saturday morning and said, right, you can take one dog out of the heat, which one would play best for your hands? They were definitely going to say Granger Mac, because he was the one that could go up to the corner.
Potentially getting her away, yeah.
Yes. So when he came out, that made her say small bit easier, but the way she came out the other night, like how she run the corner, how does she run the bends the way she does, so close, like she's going to go under. I think I've said to say if she bred her to Pastana, they'd actually run on top of the rail. They're so the way she's run. Like I've never seen. You wouldn't often see.
Tell you one thing: you have no problem selling those pups.
Well, come here. Have you ever seen a bitch or a dog to hug the rail off the last bend the way she does? Like she saves herself a length or two.
Yeah, we've seen a few over the years, but perhaps not quite at the pace that Susie Sapphire is doing it. She's out of Jetstream Link, so it is worth pointing out. Won a 750 in Ireland before travelling to the UK, where she became a top-class stayer. She's still only November, so I suppose it's no surprise to see her strengthening up a bit. Owen had spoken about this in the past. He was hoping that she would strengthen up, but to this point, I think she's really starting to get them excited. This funny to say about a bitch who's already won the Puppy Oaks and the Oaks, but she seems an even better bitch now, which is a fair achievement.
I think I was almost saying too that she's a bitch who thrives on racing. Like, she just thrives on it. Remember the night, a couple of weeks before the Derby, I was up there trailing, and I didn't see the trailer, but when I went out, looked out, 248 section. I thought, did she kind of come out back? Did she turn? I was thinking, like, remember, you would think you just missed the...
I just missed the start. I just saw her racing, and I actually had missed the start, and I couldn't get to the bottom of it either. And I even went out, and I think Owen didn't even know what had happened.
Like, for her to do a 248, like, you were thinking, did she come out. She had to come out backwards, you know. But she does try. I think she had another trial in the 550 race before the Derby. I'd say the more work, the more she's getting, she started to give me more. Like that's all she wants. She's oh look, she's galloping. So what I like about her, she's galloping. The way she's galloping the line is she's blown me away, anyway.
Yeah, as Damien has alluded to there, Tommy, she did have a bit of a break before the Derby. I know she's had 16 races each November, but she comes into the Derby very, very fresh, and we're seeing the signs of that. She's improving throughout the competition. I don't know where the improvement's going to stop. I don't know if she can go any faster to the opening corner. She's a big player in this year's Derby.
Like she had over a month between her Oaks win and her first trial back. She's just, I think she's exceptionally good. I can't believe, if you had asked me last November, December, could a bitch come from nowhere to kind of compete at the very top level against the standard of bitches we had, I would have said they want to be something remarkable, and she is, because I think she's staying perfectly well enough to win the Derby. Because like even take a look at next week, she's in Trap 1, she got Ballymac Fair 1 and 2. Like you'd have your life on Susie Sapphire being out in front of Ballymac Fair when going to the bend. As Damien says, she just hugs that rail. She's not going to give it away to anyone. She's going to steal a couple of lengths on that bend, and from then are you going to get like 3 greyhounds come by her from there? I really doubt it.
She came home. She came home nearly 2 lengths faster than Jack's Little Thing in the previous heat. You know, that just sort of sums it up. That, you know, I know she's staying tight to the fence and she's running an unbelievable racing line, but you know, for her to be doing that at this stage in the Derby is pretty remarkable.
We might be looking at ourselves in a couple of weeks' time and going, what sort of clowns are we that we didn't that we didn't back her to win the Derby? She's still available at what, Damien? What is she?
8 or 10
eight with Boyles. Yeah. I mean, keeping her on side, and you can understand why. I mean, I think she's overpriced elsewhere, to be quite honest about it. She looks to me like a semi-finalist straight away. She's doing of all the greyhounds, you say she's doing everything right. She's popping out, and she's not giving away ground, and she's staying on perfectly well. I mean, there's no downside as far as I can see.
Swords Maestro has plenty of pace. He's going to have to find his trapping boots, Damien. I think that's safe for all of us to say.
Yeah, a couple of shrewd lads below in Kerry. Now, most Kerry lads are shrewd, but the shrewdest of them told me that Swords Maestro was a dog that when he goes to Shelburne will take off, and I can see where he was coming from. You know, because he's going to happen. And so I know he's done 29.50, but I think this dog is capable of going better. He's just probably bitten a bit. I don't know, could you call it novice? You know, but he's something amazing that's waiting to happen, I think, this dog.
The penny hasn't fully dropped yet with him. Tommy Swords Maestro, he has plenty of pace. Again, though, it's going to have to happen quickly.
Yeah, just not maybe doing it right early. I think I know it's a hot heat next week. I think it's an opportunity to show a bit more. I think he just might get a bit of a run early. I think he's a seriously fast dog. I felt he ran a lot better the previous week behind Susie Sapphire than he did last week. Just never really got going. I know he ran it well and he finished second. I just thought the previous week where he did get a little bit of trouble, he showed a bit more. He's a dangerous dog again. He's one of those dogs that can continue to qualify. Although it is a red hot heat next week, I think he's really good. As Damien said, we haven't quite. You feel like it's bubbling under. It's ready for something to happen.
I think he's an enigma. That's what I call him.
Bit like yourself, Damien. Although we find it a little bit easier to say.
There's a few more words you call out of an enigma now.
Reshore is running so well for Martin Lanning and David Buckley. It's probably not going to happen for him at this stage in this year's Derby. We're actually getting to the point in the Derby where you can't say about these dogs, it could just keep qualifying. It now gets serious. There's no room for error, and he's in a pretty odd heat. It doesn't look like he's going to lead with Susie Sapphire in the race and Ballymac Fair one, and he's going to need to do everything right. Tommy, is what I'm saying.
Look, he's lightly raced and a potential improver, but it's got to happen. You say ridiculously quickly. He's probably got to find 30 spots to be a Derby contender, hasn't he? That's a lot at this stage. Maybe he'll find it down the line.
And the rest perhaps.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I say they just said we'll fire this fella in the Derby. What happens, how far he gets, will be an absolute bonus, and we'll have a juvenile Derby on our minds.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there, Damien.
Yeah.
Lads, we're after typically talking way too much. We're going to race through these 4 quarterfinals, and I mean race through them. The opening heat: Jazz Toes, Explosive Boy, Dearjet Sydney, Galvarino, Ballymac Ariel, All About Ted. So much depends on what we hear about Ballymac Ariel in the coming days. But on the evidence of the other evening, she has the draw. She'll certainly lead up Galvarino. She's All About Ted on the right side. Dearjet Sydney edging inwards. Explosive Boy will need to explode from traps. We know he's most likely going to do that. But Ballymac Ariel would be the one to beat if they repeated our latest form, no question.
Interesting to see how it's priced on the basis. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult because of Ballymac Ariel, the questions about her. She's, it's actually a brilliant draw for her if she was at her very best. But if she misses a beat or something that's just ailing her slightly, All About Ted could get in the way. Dearjet Sydney and Explosive Boy could be in front of her. Explosive Boy will probably be backed, or will certainly be maybe a little bit shorter than he should be, purely because of what we're hearing about Ballymac Ariel. And he's got a great draw. I think he's going to lead. He's probably going to lead all the way. If she's not right, if she is, she beats him again.
Are you going to repeat exactly what Tommy said, Damien? Is that the way you're seeing it?
Well, I scribbled down prices there as well last night, and I had Dearjet Sydney 5-4, and Dearjet Sydney and All About Ted 4 and 5 to 1 chances. That's how good this heat is, because Explosive Boy and Ariel are going to be taking up all the percentage on the heat. So it just tells you what sort of heat. Ariel, I thought, would have been, on 11, if she was 100%, I think I'd be slightly odds on about her, even money slightly odds on. But look, it's all up in the air now. Explosive Boy probably edges favoritism now, if with the cloud over.
Yeah, let's move on to the second heat. In terms of the heats, it's like the weakest is the wrong term, but it was the heat that you'd like to be drawn in, Tommy. Monroe, Thunder, Sing Along Sally, No Green Dye, Drewby's Good, Rural Star, Gord Kelly Nestor. Gord Kelly Nestor, the best drawn dog in the race, but feeling Sing Along Sally could play a part in proceedings.
Yeah, it is the weakest of the heat. There's no question about it. Sing Along Sally can. I thought there was a lot to be taken from that run. I don't know if I want it back, or I'd like to see it again, if you know what I mean. I'd like to see it again, and I see her step up on it. I find that an impossible heat. I really do. I don't know how to win that.
Damien Drewby's Good will make a bold bid for the front, you'd imagine, unless he makes a hash to start again. If he does turn in front, he'll take a bit of catching.
We'll take a bit of catching. I think I'd agree with what you said. With Gord Kelly Nestor is probably the best drawn dog. He can really fight the turn, but it's all about if Drewby's Good hits it. I think 29.60 will win the heat.
Yeah. Moving on to heat 3, another unbelievable heat. Susie Sapphire, Ballymac Fair One, Scooby Princess, Ballymac Wild, Swords Maestro, Reshore, 6 hugely talented greyhounds. The fact that Susie Sapphire's in 1 will surely see her start favourite, Damien.
Yeah, definitely. You could put Susie Sapphire in that heat with Ballymac Ariel and Explosive Boy and still give her a chance. Do you know what I mean? Put her in trap 1, she'd still have it. I think she has a chance against any dog in the country in trap 1, because she's 99 times out of 100, well, not 9 times, but 9 times out of 10, she's going to maybe lead, But look, she's going to be favourite here. It's whether or not Ballymac Wild and Scooby Princess can avoid each other early to get at her.
Even if they get at her, she's doing 29.31. The bunny, she's very hard to pick up, Tommy. Am I right?
I'd be amazed if anything gets at her, because I think Ballymac Fair One is a great buffer to her. She leads. Ballymac Fair One goes up well enough to hold Scooby Princess early and Ballymac Wild early. And Ballymac Fair One isn't seeing it out brilliantly at the moment. He can get stronger and can get better and can still be a live contender. But Susie Sapphire has an unbelievable draw. She just pops out and makes all.
Simple as that. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think just the way she's running at the moment, she's going to be very, very hard to stop. Heat 4, Skywalker Silla, Brycar Oak, Carrigain North, Jack's Little Thing, Gunboat Showman, and Price's Jet. And no doubting Jack's Little Thing will be favourite, but just a little bit tougher now than his last 2 weeks, Damien. He's going to have to be on his toes early. If Carrigain North happen to find a 340, it's just going to make life a bit difficult for him. We know Price's Jet is absolutely motoring at present, and your old pal Skywalker Silla in red. It's an intriguing little heat, but Jack's Little Thing, I'm sure you have been relatively short.
Well, he was he 2-7 and 2-7 say his last rounds. He's not going to be 2-7 this time. Might be slightly odds on here. You just be taking him on, not taking on, but you just be. Wouldn't be afraid. It wouldn't be surprised me enough if he was to get beat here in this one, because.
You heard it here, folks. Damien Lonergan says Jack's Little Thing will be beaten.
I just this is just the last couple of weeks. I thought I made him an absolute moral. Just things are starting to tighten up a bit. This is the toughest heat he's been in so far. Just there could be a joker in the pack here.
Yeah. Prices Jet, Tommy.
I
Big
think
life.
I'd be taking a chance on Price to Jet definitely. I think there's a makeup there that kind of suits him. He should be able to go up well enough with Gunboat against Gunboat Showman. Jack's Little Thing, if it leads, may not lead. Skywalker still is capable of turning a bit closer. She's strong. Carrigan North is capable of going up inside Jack's Little Thing. I think Price to Jet showed so much last week. I'd take a chance. Now, it obviously depends on the price. Like if Damien's going to give us a generous price, maybe. But
I'd say he'd give you 8-1 now, Tommy Vass.
Yeah.
A price boost, Tommy, right?
I'll take
Tommy, have me a score on.
I'm assuming you mean 20,000, yeah. I think, look, Jackson, he might do it all right, and he might go on and win a derby, and we'll all be saying God was very, very obvious along the way. But I think Price's Jet showed enough last week to say, as you said, the sectionals home were interesting. If Jackson Thing gets any little bit of trouble early, or is just held up even slightly, something like Price's Jet come swinging by. You know, he's again a dog that's done 29-40 something and is capable of doing that, I think, every night of the week. So I take a chance on him next week. It's an open heat. I wouldn't rule out the top picture either. She impressed me last week. Even if I was disappointed with Ballymac one, I thought that was a fair performance by Skywalker Stilla. So yeah, I think I think 1, 4, and 6 will probably qualify. There might be one of those positions up for grab, maybe, but the 3 of those look quite solid.
For what it's worth, I think Jack's Little Thing will do a 3:38, make every inch of the running, win in 29-20 with Price's Jet running a big race in second spot. That's heat 4 of the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. If the 3 we've predicted from each of the heats go through, we are left with 3 mouth-watering semi-final, or 2 mouth-watering semi-finals, gentlemen. And there's still an awful lot of racing left in this derby. I know there's less than 3.5 minutes. There's only 7 races, but at the same time, there's so many storylines to come. Really looking forward to it. What's the derby winner, Tommy?
Oh God, it depends on Ballymac area. I think if I had to have a bet at the moment, I'd have a small bet each way in Price to Jet. I just because I think he'll get into 4. I think it's still 4 places. Yeah, he'll get into 4.
Damien Lonergan.
Heart says Susie Sapphire, but ahead if Explosive Boy wasn't 100% last week, and Ballymac area is the way she is, he's back in the top of the pile again.
Yeah, the prices though, he's not really sucking you in. For what it's worth, I'm gonna mention Susie Sapphire because I just think she has the draw the next night. Again, if she gets a nice draw in the semi-finals, I think she'll be in the Derby final, and then it's a case of whatever gets to that corner in front is most likely to win the Derby. And in Susie Sapphire, you've certainly one capable of doing that, gentlemen.
Did we ever?
Go ahead.
Before you can go, did we ever get to the stage of Derby before with so many bitches with a realistic chance of winning the Derby?
Listen, we've got to the stage where obviously there have been bitches left, and we've seen some really stars going through and going on to win the Derby. But I can't remember any year where there were so many. What do we have? 3, 4. What's the breakdown, Damien? Do you have the breakdown?
Don't have that done yet. Sorry.
No problem. 1,
but
2,
you've got 3. We have Ariel, obviously. We have Susie Sapphire. We have Scooby Princess.
We have five bitches, and you can't put a pen to any of them.
You'll definitely say at this stage, Sing Along Sally is the weakest of the 5 because she's got to go and prove it. But the other 4 are all capable of going very, very, very far.
But
yeah, we just need Sing Along Sally to produce her best, though. Like if she produced her best, she's more than capable on the night of doing a 29-30 run, and in the Derby final that could be enough.
But what Tommy just said there, I'd agree with him. Sing Along Sally in the safe price up the last bitch, she's going to be outside it. That tells the caliber, the class of bitch that's there,
Yeah, juvenile classic winner, a bitch that went right to the end in the Kirby. What I mean? It's unbelievable.
It just shows you what's around.
Yeah, we may have mentioned it once or twice over the last year, isn't that right, Tommy? Listen, that's it, folks. We have so much to look forward to in this BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. The semi-finals, we are just 1 step away. The finals just 2 steps away. What'll be there? Well, we'll soon find out. Again, my thanks to Damien Lonergan. Damien, you're more than welcome to come in as a substitute anytime. And Tommy Lyons, the Exile Dub. Thanks again. We'll talk to you next week, gentlemen. Good luck. For all of you watching, hope you enjoyed that. We'll be talking about the semi-finals of the BoyleSports Derby next week.